Today, I am going to reveal a power move that will help you to make an impact, a great impact when you meet people. Now, you get this right, and you are going to be a whole lot more memorable. And you get this wrong, and people are going to be very frustrated with you. Now, before we get going, I want to just explain one thing. And I want to just give you an idea of when people write. Like if you came across somebody that wrote in a very weird way and they write very, very slowly, and then you notice the technique that they're using to write, and you're noticing that the technique they use is really awkward, it's clunky, and you say to them, look, I can help you. I can help you to get a better result. I can help you to write faster. I can help you to do all these things. However, it's going to take a tiny bit of learning, a tiny bit of getting used to, because you're going to be doing something that you have not done before. And that's the same with the techniques that I'm going to show you today. The first times that you try them may seem a bit slower because it's new. However, in the long run, they're going to get you further, faster than ever before. And the techniques that I'm going to show you today, which is how to remember names, they're just different to how you've been doing it currently. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Master the Mind. Today, we are going to be talking about not just how to remember names, but how to remember foreign names, how to remember complicated names. And this is key because, there's so many techniques that are out there that show you how to, simple ways to remember names. But when it comes to complex names, when it comes to names that are from countries other than your own and countries that you're not used to hearing, it can be a bit more complex. So why is this important? Well, first of all, they have done a lot of studies. They've done studies. They hook up loads of equipment to people's brains, and then they measure brain activity, and you say a whole lot of words, and nothing lights the brain up more than hearing a person's own name. Your name is the sweetest thing to your ear. Have you ever been in a room and you're not paying attention to what anyone is saying? People are talking way off in the corner and you're just doing, minding your own business in a conversation, and then you just hear someone just say your name and you haven't heard anything else they say, but you hear your name and you're like, what? This is how powerful a name is. And yet, at the same time, the challenge that many of us have is that many of us are terrible with names. I have been there, by the way. I used to I'm just bad with names. That was my excuse. I just used to say, you know what? I'm just bad with names. I'm just that bad with names. And the challenge is, this is so frustrating to people. If you could get someone's name right, you could get so much further, faster, and create much more of an impact. So, and you will literally light up their mind just by utilizing their name. So now here's the other crazy thing, is just names alone, just remembering names alone is one part of the challenge. But we live in a globalized sort of century. I mean, I live in the UAE, there's so many nationalities everywhere. And then you are subjected to a lot of names that you may not have been familiar with when you were growing up. And so this can add another extra layer of complexity. You see, for example, I've spoken many times in India, and when I've gone to speak in India, the names that I see over there have been very different to the names that I've grown up with. They're very different to the names that you see in your typical Western movie. And so the challenge is, it can be difficult to, for somebody that's not used to easily remember a name, to go from, hey, it's a Bob to Subramanian. How do you and so I want to share with you today these techniques. And here's the other part of it. I know what it's like. You see, my name is Munir, but generally when I went and I moved to the UK, it wasn't a very common name. People had not, it wasn't as easily memorable because people weren't used to hearing the word, the name Munir. And so I wanted people to remember my name. I mean, you want to be memorable. We all want to have that feeling of being memorable. So I know what it's like for people not to know your name, and I know what it's like when people do remember your name. So, and the reason I want to focus in this video, not just on how to remember names, but how do you remember foreign names, is because some of the standard techniques that they'll tell you about in some blogs or some other videos, etc., they'll just tell you, you know what, okay, so meet someone and then just repeat the name, ask for it again, and just repeat it a couple of times, etc. But when we talk about foreign names, some of them are they require just a little bit more. They require just a little bit more. The other techniques can work, however, you need a little bit more. Standard ways don't work so well, and I want to share with you these techniques. The show is called Master the Mind, and I'm going to show you how to master your mind so that you can get further faster in these results. So let's talk about how do you remember foreign names. So let's talk about number one.
Number one.
So the first part is you have to want to. And I know this sounds silly enough, but I can go to a number of different events, and there's time whenever I want to remember a name, I'll remember it because I have to use a different technique. But if I'm just kind of like, I'm not invested in it, I don't really feel like learning a name, then I don't invest in doing the technique and I won't remember it. So you got to be motivated. You got to have a why to remember a name. So understand what's your motivation in remembering people's names, and understand that some scenarios you'll go to places, and for example, if I'm just on the street and a couple of people walk by and they say, hi, my name is this, and I don't know, I know that I'm never going to see them again, I might not invest the couple of extra seconds to remember a name. So knowing that you can actually, you got connect with your motivation and it will give you a result. So that's number one. Let's go on to
Number two.
So number two, again, the first two are very basic, but they're very critical. You want to be focused and present. They asked a number of world memory champions around the world, and they say that the biggest reason that most people don't remember a name is because they never heard it in the first place. They weren't listening in the first place. So I know that this is common sense. You know, I get it. The first two steps are very common sense. You're like, okay, yeah, like no shit, Sherlock, you know, kind of thing. But at the same time, you gotta appreciate that this is critical because it's the biggest reason that most people don't remember a name in the first place. So be present, actually listen to someone. Don't just, don't have your mind wandering, thinking about laundry. When you meet someone, you think, okay, I got to remember this person. Listen, be present, focus on the person, eye contact, etc. Okay, so that was number two. Simple enough. Let's get into the more exciting stuff. So
Number three.
So number three is you got to repeat the name creatively. And so I'm gonna show you how I would remember a name like Vaishnavi. Okay, so someone would come and say, hey, my name is Vaishnavi, and I'd go, oh, okay, sorry, was that Vaishnavi? Am I saying it correctly? Vaishnavi. So I would repeat it a couple of times naturally, and I tell the person, okay, I just want to make sure I got it right. Am I saying it correctly? So already I've said it about 3 times. And then when I've got it correct, I'd go, okay, yeah, okay, well, that's all. It's a pleasure to meet you, Vaishnavi. And I would repeat it again in the saying of, it's a pleasure to meet you. Find ways to repeat creatively without being like super weird in the first few seconds. So they say the name, you repeat the name, and then you ask, am I saying it correctly? You can even ask, wow, I haven't heard this name before, Vaishnavi. Where is it from? Is it originally an Indian name? Vaishnavi, is that an Indian name? So I'm just like repeatedly saying the word so that I'm getting myself used to that word. So That's the first part. So that's number 3. Repeat it creatively. And then once you've got it, you've repeated it creatively without sounding too weird. Then just say, okay, well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Vaishnavi. Okay, so
Number 4. Number 4.
now number 4 is you want to break the name up into different pictures. So here's why this is critical. Your name, your mind was not designed to remember like words on their own or remember letters. Your brain was designed to remember images, pictures, action, places, things like that. And so you want to convert their name into something that you're familiar with. And it's a skill that you will get better and better at. If you look at every world champion, memory champion, they did not learn to do this naturally, but when they discovered that this is how the mind works, they started to adopt a new way of thinking, which is converting things into pictures. So, Vaishnavi, I would go Ve, as in, which Ve, which is just a funny way of saying which way. And I would just go Ve, sh, and Navi from Avatar, right? So I'm breaking down Vaishnavi. And that's how I would remember it. I break it down into little pictures. I just remember like a sign showing you which way. There's a person going to a Navi person from Avatar. So I break the image into pictures. And then all of a sudden, you remember it easily. Okay? So that's the first one. I gave you, I mentioned another name earlier, Subramanian. Okay? So Shub, like sub, right? Submarine. RAM, as in computer RAM. Man, and Ian McKellar, right? So I've broken the name down into pictures. And all of a sudden, I just think of a submarine, and there's like a bit of RAM sticking out. A man picks it up and hands it to Ian McAllister, and all of a sudden I can remember Shub Ram Man Ian. I remember that name through the pictures. And so this is so powerful because it gives you a different way of remembering names that you just find pictures that you're familiar with, things that remind you, and you break a name down into that. And you can do this with any name. Now, then you will attach something. Now, if you want to remember a person and the person and the name together, let's say they have something distinctive about them. The glasses, they wear glasses. You attach you just imagine a big, for Subramanian, you imagine a big submarine hitting the glasses, because your mind likes to be cartoony. It likes to imagine things. It likes to it likes pictures. And so the next time you see them, if you've made this image funny enough or clear enough in your mind, if you've vividly imagined it, you see them, you look at them and you're like, I'm trying to remember who you are. You look at the glasses, you imagine the submarine, and then you go, okay, and you remember your story. And this is very powerful so that you can all of a sudden recall people just by looking at them, and it starts off a chain reaction to remember someone's name. So attach something to their face. So that's number 5. And
Number 6. Number 6.
And number 6, remember to repeat their name. Like not just when you say goodbye, but also like in the middle of a conversation, every couple of bits. You don't want to overdo it, but you want to just naturally, a little more than perhaps you've done already, but you naturally want to keep putting their name in. And if you say their name when you say goodbye, remember, people remember the first thing about you, the last thing about you, and so you leave a great lasting impression just because you light up their brain just when you're saying goodbye. So is again very, very powerful. So that's number 6. Now, what I'd encourage you to do is do it with your own name. Now, I've done this with my own name. So For example, I've shared with you how you can remember other people's names. I want people to remember my name. So I do this work for other people. So whenever I go to somebody, I know that people aren't going to not necessarily naturally remember Munir. So I say, hey, yeah, my name is Munir. I mean, just imagine a big moon with an ear on it, and just imagine it's brown because I'm brown, and there you go. And now next time they see me, they look at me, they see a brown person, they imagine a moon with an ear. It sounds really silly, it sounds really stupid. However, I've been in so many different situations where, because I've said that, people have met 10 other people, they meet me, and because I've said that, they remember my name. And I like people remembering my name, so that's why I've done it. And every once in a while, someone gets a little bit like, your moon, no, your sun knows, or something like that. But it's so simple. You remember when you create images and you tell somebody, yeah, hi, my name is Munir. Just imagine a moon with an ear on it, and that's moon ear. There you go. And people remember my name, and they remember how to say it, and I'm a bit more memorable. So you can become more memorable yourself if you have a foreign name, if you do this sort of work for people as well. This is the exact same techniques that memory champions use to remember a whole bunch of names, etc. This is very, very, very powerful. Now, I appreciate when you first start doing this, when you first go and meet somebody, it's going to be a little bit clunkier to convert names on the spot into images because you're doing something new. However, I encourage you to do it as much as possible and start to convert names into images more frequently, because the more you do this, the simpler it's going to become. The more natural it's going to become, the easier that you are going to be able to convert pictures into names into pictures more naturally on the fly. It'll be slower at the start, however, it'll become more and more natural, and then sooner or later you'll be able to do it on the spot. So the phrase that pays, the phrase for today is remember, and you will be remembered. And remember, go and make an impact in someone's life, even if it's your own. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out, one love, and I will see you on another episode real soon. Bye for now.
Oh, hello internet. Munir heard you like cat videos, so he hired me to talk to you. He makes videos to show you how to influence yourself through mindset changes and others through the power of persuasion. So when you hit the subscribe button now, you will get exclusive interviews, secrets, and mind-blowing tips on how to lead a more successful life.